Hey everybody, Alex here with Momentum Charting. Today we are going to be discussing the chart of AAPL, Apple, as well as a couple of various other important side notes. If you would, guys, jump down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. Doing both of those things will make certain that you do not miss a single important update in the coming days and weeks on the chart of Apple. So guys, I'm here on TradingView. Got a few things to talk about today on a 2-hour time frame. So as you guys know already, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, my thesis in the markets is bullish, and also my thesis on Apple is bullish. Guys, I mean, I'm talking about my short-term thesis, right? I'm not even talking about a long-term thesis. To me, if you're long-term perma-bear, thinking the markets, American markets are going to crash, Apple's going to crash, everything, all the stocks in the stock market are overpriced and everything's finished. To me, anything other than a long-term bullish thesis in the markets, and you're an absolute fool. I'm just going to say that like I believe it to be. I'm not even talking about long-term thesis right now. We're talking all short-term stuff right now. My short-term thesis on Apple right now is bullish. But guys, there are so many people out there that are under the false impression, the misnomer. Maybe they're not able to figure out a way to make money trading, swing trading in the markets, or they think it's impossible, or they're under the false impression that in order to make money trading, you have to be right on every single trade you execute, or at least a vast majority of your trades, 80, 90, 95%. Guys, there is nothing, absolutely nothing that's further from the truth. I'm going to show you the single most important aspect in order to make money trading in the short term. And guys, let's jump down here to the 10-minute chart, and I'm going to show you this. Guys, the single most important, crucial, critical element to short-term trading success in markets, no matter what anyone else tells you. They tell you, oh, it's a certain indicator, it's a certain this, it's a certain that. No. The number one key element to successful trading in markets is the ability to have and understand a plan and execute risk management. Yes, that stuff is boring, but it encompasses a couple of things. And the key number one thing to risk management, well, there's two parts. Actually, one of them is money management. Yes, that's a separate subject for a separate day. But to me, the really crucial and vital part of risk management that gets overlooked a lot is you need to understand where you're at in a trade, how you think the chart is going to develop, and you need to know ahead of time what you are going to do if the thesis, the short-term thesis you put out fails. And I'm going to give you exactly an example of what on this chart of Apple, how I'm kind of defining my risk management in this trade. And that will give you a good idea of how you should also be setting up your risk management in your trades to make most trades winning and to make your year extremely successful as a short-term trader in these markets. Okay? So, right now, pulling back to the 2-hour, I've got this bullish trend line here on Apple. I pointed this out to you guys many times. I've got this midterm, I call it a magnetic trend line, midterm magnetic trend line. Touch points here, July 6th, July 8th, July 19th, July 28th, and again on August 19th. This is a very well established, very well respected midterm trend line to me so far. This is the crucial element of our short-term trading. Yes, we are operating right now in a very large channel, but these are not coming into play as of yet. although hopefully this upper channel does at some point here in the near future. But right now we are not focused on this channel here except for our risk management part of our trade, and I'm going to show you that in a second. So we've got this crucial line here, which is our midterm magnetic trend line. Let's go back here to the 10-minute. So guys, right now, like I said, my short-term thesis on Apple is bullish. I'm long Apple right now. What I want to see happen in Apple for a continuation to the upside is for this trend line on a 10-minute time frame to hold in these levels. Now, if this does break to the outside, right, I'm going to get a little less bullish. Okay, I still have my trend line set here, right at about 149.51. Again, guys, we're here on a 10-minute time frame. Let me try to zoom in here just a little bit so you can see, try to follow along with me as best I can. So my short-term thesis on Apple is that we bounce here and continue up tomorrow and the rest of this week on Apple and continue pushing to the upside off this nice 10-minute trend line. If that does not happen, okay, the next potential thing that could happen is tomorrow, let's see, yeah, it would definitely be sometime during tomorrow's trading session. If we do not get a bounce to the upside in Apple, one of two things is going to happen, right? One of them is going to be that this trend line is going to breach to the outside, this upward sloping diagonal trend line, and I'm going to be looking for this very, very clear level of support right here at 149.52 to hold. Okay, I'm going to be looking for that to hold. So if Apple does break to the outside, I'm not done with the trade. I'm not out of the trade. I'm holding my shares. I'm going to show you where exactly I'm interested in getting rid of my shares, and that's not here. That's not at this point. But this area right here, I'm still thinking extreme bullishness, potentially adding, right? Adding in the short term to my Apple position if I see this reaction off this trend line. Okay? If I see a breach to the outside of this trend line, not adding to Apple, just holding, waiting, a little bit less bullish than I would be here if I were to see this trend line following up. A little bit less bullish, but there's still a chance, right, that this thing could come out here, hold this trend line, and in a couple days' time or potentially early next week, break to the upside. That is something that we would have to watch and analyze at that time. If my first thesis on Apple, my extremely bullish case on Apple, fails. But that is case number 2. All right? And then there is a third case. And the third case is that tomorrow, at some point, or not necessarily even tomorrow. It could be tomorrow or it could be later in the week, but probably it would happen sooner rather than later. We not only break to the downside of this upward sloping diagonal trend line, but we also break down below this line of support here at the 10-minute trend line at 149.50, and we start working down. Now, my bullishness on Apple continues as we drop through here. So right here, let me get the typing tool out just to kind of show. I'm sure you guys are able to pretty easily follow me here, but let's just see if I can do this and type this out for you here. Okay, so in this zone here, I'm extremely bullish on Apple, okay? In this zone here, I'm still bullish, but less, okay? That's this zone here still above this trend line support at 149.50. And then here, I've got 2 more of these that I'm going to write out here. And then this is, again, here we're only talking short term, guys, right? Short term. None of this has anything to do with my long term thesis. I'm only talking my short term sort of swing trading, day trading thesis on Apple. Obviously, long term, I'm extremely bullish on Apple. This is short term trading, risk management only, okay? Very important. So I am at my max bearishness on Apple as we break, if we break this diagonal upward sloping trend line and we break this line of support at 149.50 to the downside. So that is the point where I am max bearish, right at the break of this line of support and this diagonal upward sloping trend line. But do you think, take a guess, do you think as prices are consolidating down sideways, I'm getting, just take a guess, do you think I'm getting more bearish or less bearish as prices are working down into this area? Take a guess. Okay? If you guessed I'm getting more bearish as prices on Apple drop down here, guys, you're wrong. I'm getting increasingly bullish, okay? I'm getting increasingly bullish the closer we get to this magnetic midterm trend line support, because my thesis on Apple right now, and there's evidence to support it over the last few months, is that every time Apple gets down to this trend line here, this support trend line, we're bouncing off to the upside. So once again, we get down to these levels, and right here at this trend line support down here, I'm getting very bullish. So I'm max bearish right up here, and as prices of Apple were to consolidate, moving down to the downside, this is the point here. So I'm max bearish here, getting less bearish here, less bearish, less bearish, less bearish, bullish, 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 hot, 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 very bullish at these levels, okay? So if this trend line were to fail here, this upward sloping trend line were to fail, does that change my short-term thesis, my short-term swing trading thesis? No. The only thing that changes it in the very, very micro term is a break of this trend line here, this upward sloping diagonal trend line, and a breach to the downside of this level here at 149.50. Okay, those are the two things that will take me to quote unquote max bearishness, but again, only in a micro term on my swing trading side of things, right? The day trading, swing trading side of things. But guys, am I concerned in the slightest if the really micro term does not, extreme bullish case does not hold, and this line in Apple doesn't hold tomorrow, and prices of Apple don't explode to the upside tomorrow and or the next day and next week? Do you think I'm concerned in the slightest? No, I am absolutely not concerned. I am not selling a single share of Apple until a certain event were to happen, and I'm going to show you that. But guys, I am not concerned in the slightest. I am still holding. Yes, I'm going to be max bearish here, but all that means is that I'm not considering adding more shares until I see a definitive turnaround in Apple, and more than likely, hopefully, a return to these levels at around $146, so I can add to my position and get ready for the next move on Apple to the upside. And yes, that is definitely something that could possibly happen. But guys, I am not in the slightest bit concerned if Apple doesn't break to the upside at these levels and starts moving and consolidating down. In fact, it's very possible that that could happen. Let's just look at our DRSI chart here, and we can see since July, right, that this level here around 35 has been holding, and this pattern has been doing the same thing, right? You just look at this. Is this going to repeat here and come back down to here, which would most likely correspond with us bouncing off these levels at 146? Yeah, it's certainly possible. It's certainly possible, right? But another possibility is that we get some sort of a breakout pattern from these levels. And instead of our dynamic RSI just returning back down to these levels, confirming and bouncing once again off this midterm magnetic trend line, we get some sort of a structure in place here on Apple on this RSI, which allows us to start pushing higher, sort of like what happened here in June, right? See this period in June where eventually we started breaking above these levels at 50 and started putting in these nice series of RSI where you were able to get this positive push in Apple to the upside all the way to where we are today around the $150 area. So something like that is certainly possible on Apple, and that's my short-term thesis right now. Is exactly what I'm hoping to have happen. But I am also well aware, guys, that Apple could definitely come up here today, tomorrow, and repeat just this series of RSI moves that's been happening. Right? Come back down here, test it, brings prices back to this trend line, pushes back up again towards the middle of September, pushes down again. I am very, very well aware, guys, that what could be developing in Apple is just some sort of more this series of just higher lows and higher highs that's developing in this magnetic trend line does continue to draw in prices on Apple for the next few months until finally, what happens is that we do get a break to the upside on one of these trend lines, one of these 10-minute trend lines, and it is going to happen eventually, right? I don't know if it's going to be this time or I don't know if it's going to be next time, but I want to be aware each and every time that there's a potential for it to happen, because I want to be a part of this move to the upside when Apple finally does catch this trend line and start pushing all the way up to the upper bounds of this channel at around right here, around $162, $163. Do I think there's a chance that could happen this time? Yes, 100%. Absolutely, I do believe that is a possibility, one of the possibilities that could happen right now. But again, I do also believe that there is the possibility that we could return down to this trend line. And if that were to happen, again, I'm going to be getting extremely bullish on Apple and adding to my Apple position. Again, risk management. What's your game plan? What do you think is going to happen? What areas of the chart are you looking for bullishness? What areas of the chart are you looking for bearishness? What are you expecting to happen at certain levels? Guys, I'm never just walking into a trade and throwing my money in and saying, oh, okay, well, I hope Apple goes up. I'm talking, again, short-term day trading, bullish thesis. I'm never throwing money into stock and saying, oh, okay, I hope it goes up. And if it goes down, whatever, somebody sets a stop loss, whatever percent, then I'm selling. That is not how I execute trades, guys. I always have a very, very detailed game plan of exactly what I was expecting. I don't know if you guys saw my video. I did 2 videos today on SPRT support.com. That kind of gives you some more insight into the types of things I'm watching to see if I indeed get the type of trade setup I'm looking for. Everything today on SPRT missed, which is fine. I'm still going to be looking for bullish setups tomorrow. But again, that just kind of gives you an idea of the types of things I'm looking for on a trade setup. I know well ahead of time exactly what I'm looking for on these trades, and if they do not work out, I'm also well aware of what my game plan, what my potential exit strategy is, and what I'm looking for as far as a continued bullish or bearish move in the chart. Now, just quickly, if this were to happen, and this is definitely not my primary thesis right now, but guys, even if Apple comes down here to these levels and breaks down, am I in the least bit worried? Heck no. I am not one iota worried. In fact, I'm thrilled. Why am I thrilled? Well, let me tell you why I'm thrilled. because if these levels on this midterm trend line on Apple were to breach to the downside, I am very, very well aware that the most likely point of attraction for Apple is going to be this, which is the super magnetic long-term trend line. Now, our price is just going to fall like this and do so? No, that's not how stock markets work, right? It's if these levels here break, what's most likely going to happen, we come up here, we dance around a bit, maybe do some back tests on this trend line, start falling down, consolidate higher, lower. It's going to be something that develops over the period of maybe a week, 2 weeks, something like this. But I do believe that eventually, once we do breach this very important midterm trend line, that the long-term trend line is going to attract prices and pull prices down here back to these levels. If it were to happen right now, maybe somewhere around $134 to $130. That would be my next test point. So that would be, again, I would just repeat that short-term trade I was showing you here. So a breakdown of this trend line here would again be max bearishness, right? But as prices continued further down, getting closer to this long-term support line, this would be the point of max extreme bullishness, okay? And all this stuff I'm talking to you about, guys, I want to confirm with things like my RSI, maybe with things like the momentum indicator on a 3-hour, 2-hour time frame, which I do like to use a lot, as you guys as you guys have seen many times in my trades. So again, very bullish thesis at these midterm trend lines down here. I would be looking for maybe a 2-hour, 3-hour momentum shift on the momentum side of things to kind of look on the chart of Apple, see if I was getting that rounded bottom turn back to the upside. That would give me much more confidence in the trade, executing this trade on my very bullish thesis down at these levels, guys. And this is all considering that we are going to, I don't even know if this is going to happen, if we're going to break down on these levels right now. Still, my short-term thesis is extreme bullishness. I am hoping that Apple just continues up and tomorrow we start pushing up to $160 on Apple. But again, this more than anything, this video is about trade setups, yes, and risk management, and kind of how you're analyzing a chart, the plan you're having before you execute a trade, and what you are planning to do with your trade if it fails or if it goes in your favor, right? So very bullish. And again, am I happy if Apple comes down here and breaks this midterm support? Hell yeah, I'm happy. I'm extremely happy because a couple of things. I believe that I am getting set for the chance, number one, to buy Apple at a massive discount eventually within the next few weeks, maybe next couple months. We'll see how this consolidation period goes. Apple is a very, very strong stock. Often when it does drop, it takes a while. There's a lot of buyers at different levels, different support levels, so it could take a while to come to these levels. But if Apple does come down here and my very, very bullish thesis fails, no problem. Again, I'm thrilled because I believe that the next point of Apple stopping is down here somewhere around $135 or so. Chance to add to my long-term positions, get in cheaper, and sort of price average down on my overall cost of my Apple stock. So would I be happy with that? Yes, 110%. If this line on the midterm does fail, the midterm trend line here does fail, I have no problem. I have absolutely no problem. But of course, I'm going to be moving into a bearish phase on my thesis of Apple in the short term. Again, short term, midterm, short term, midterm. Bearish thesis on Apple if this trend line here on the midterm were to fail. But I would be thrilled. Number one, I believe that I'm going to get a chance in the not too distant future to buy Apple stock at a much cheaper price. Number two, What do you think? What do you guys think I'm doing here as Apple is breaking down? Because I know if Apple is starting to break down, there is going to be ushering in a period into the market of broad markets also breaking down and also increased volatility. So what do you think? What do you guys think I'm going to be doing down here at these levels if Apple were to break this midterm important trend line of support? I'm going to be adding positions to volatility, right? VXY, UVXY. Going to be longing volatility. I'm going to be adding shorter term time periods, month, 2 months, SPY puts, right? Two very important things that would work very well in my favor if markets were to break down, if Apple were to start breaking down. And what do you think I would be doing with my profits, my short-term profits in my SPY puts, my volatility? What do you think I would be doing with those profits once we started getting down to these levels down here that I was showing before, where I believe would be the attraction point of markets and of Apple? I would be lightening up my positions in volatility. I'd be lightening up my positions in the puts. As we were to reach down here, they would those puts, the VIX positions would start becoming very valuable. I would be starting to slowly exit out of those and slowly entering positions again in Apple to ride this thing back to the upside. So guys, that is basically my complete bullish thesis on Apple, my complete trading plan on Apple, which obviously includes some positions in SPY puts, and you can see where I'm interested in adding those, and some adding positions UVXY, VIXY, if indeed Apple were to come down here and just break through my very bullish area on this midterm trend line and actually see a breach of this trend line to the downside. At that point, short term, everything turns bearish. I'm adding to volatility. I'm adding SPY puts. That's the point. I'm starting to look for a larger correction in markets, but I'm still very happy because I know that on the downside of markets I'm going to profit, and I also know that in the short term, within the next couple months, there's going to be an opportunity to buy Apple at very discounted prices. Okay, so guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's been a little bit long-winded, but I hope it illustrated some very, very important points to you, most notably that I don't really care if Apple comes here and fails today. Yes, my micro-term thesis on Apple is extremely bullish. I'm hoping it bounces up here. I may even add to positions as I see Apple breaking these levels up here. In fact, that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. If I break over these highs here at around $151 and start executing a series of more lines of support on this upward diagonal sloping trend line, I am definitely going to be adding to my Apple positions along the way as I see this upward diagonal trend line being supported, right? So, guys, everything. So, again, I don't care if this doesn't work out, this very, very short term, this doesn't work out. I'm going to still be bullish, but less so if this line of support doesn't hold and we do not break to the upside tomorrow. And again, max bearishness short term if we break these levels down here below 149.52, right? But that's only going to be for the period of a couple days, maybe a week, while we work our way towards this magnetic trend line and see if we can once again break back to the upside. We're going to be watching the momentum chart, going to be watching the DRSI chart, see how all this works out, see if indeed it looks like Apple's going to be turning around, adding to our position on Apple again, and repeating this whole process. You know, out here in late August, early September, sending another trend line to the upside, seeing if we can get this thing to repeat, and finally, eventually, guys, if the bullish thesis on Apple does play out, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that eventually we are going to knock off this series of just higher lows and higher highs that Apple's been doing, right, over the past month and change. Eventually, this thing is going to be wanting to have an explosive bullish move to the upside to at least the top of this channel. And that's what I want to be a part of. That's why I want to be long at all these areas where I'm seeing the potential for the move in bullish move in Apple to move all the way to the upside of this channel, because I think when it happens, it's going to be a really nice move to the upside, gives us a chance to make some really nice money in the short term. That's why I am always going to wait and see if I can get a bullish reset, and if this one fails this time, absolutely no problem. I'm going to be a part of the next one and setting this next trend to the upside sometime later towards the end of this month, early next month, guys. I'm going to be following, obviously, just like I do with all my trades, continuing to show you how my execution of this Apple trade, my bullish thesis, plays out. Make sure you jump down below. I think you're going to find it very interesting, very informative. Believe me, guys, there's absolutely no one on YouTube that does technical analysis, has the types of insights that I'm going to show you here on momentum charting. I hope you subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for doing that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see everybody again very soon in the next Apple and the next broad market updates. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye for now.